There are a lot of really good reasons to buy a patent. Maybe you found a patent that's not being used and you think it would be a fantastic product to manufacture. Or maybe you're thinking about manufacturing and selling a product and you'd like to preemptively buy a patent to avoid problems in the future. Well, I have 7 pro tips when buying patents that will help you avoid huge headaches with regard to the transaction. And if you're selling your patent, these tips will help you too, because they'll help you prepare for the buyer who's going to be evaluating your patent or your patent portfolio. Hi, my name is John Farrell. I'm a Silicon Valley patent attorney. Welcome back to my channel. One of the first things you really want to understand when considering the purchase of a patent is how much time is left on the patent. Now, patents are valid for 20 years from the date of filing, and the filing date can be found on the cover of the front page of the patent. But you also want to know that the patent term can be extended. If the government delayed in the prosecution of the patent application, there may be additional days that are added to the term of the patent. Now, what's the optimal time for buying a patent? And I think that the maximum value of the patent occurs probably sometime before the 8-year period. If you can buy a patent after 8 years, and this is not a hard and fast rule, but if you can buy a patent after about 8 years, my experience has been that the price begins to come down. The emotional value that was attached to the patent in the early years has begun to wane. And often the patent owner is willing to sell the patent at a more reasonable price after about 8 years or so, especially if the owner's not using the patent for anything. The second tip when buying a patent is to make sure that you check for related patents to the patent that you're interested in. Are there parent applications or continuation applications, other applications in the family that you might also need in order to be able to practice the patent? The last thing that you want to do is to have the owner of the patent sell one patent to you and then maybe a continuation patent to someone else, a competitor in the space that you're interested in manufacturing. Also, be sure and check for foreign counterparts to the patent that you're purchasing. Now, tip number 3 is obvious, but it's so often a problem. First of all, you want to check and make sure that the seller of the patent actually owns the patent, that the patent hasn't been assigned to another buyer. Also, you want to make sure that each of the inventors on the patent, each of the named inventors, has assigned their rights to the patent to the owner, to the person or entity that's selling the patent. It's essential that there be assignments in place from each of the inventors to the owner or to the seller of the patent. Even one missing assignment from one of the inventors could render the patent really worthless, because it's possible for that inventor who hasn't assigned his rights in the patent to sell his rights to a competitor or to some third party. So you want to make sure, first of all, that the seller actually owns the patent, and then secondly, all inventors of the patent have assigned the patent rights to the seller. Tip number 4 is to check to see whether the patent has ever been litigated. Has the patent been evaluated in court, or has the patent gone through an inter partes review process in the patent office? So you can do a search online for litigation involving the patent number that you're interested in, or check a database such as PACER, which is a database of federal courts, to see if that patent number of the patent that you're interested in has ever been litigated. And likewise, check online at the USPTO website, the United States Patent and Trademark Office website, to see if the patent that you're interested in has ever been the subject of an inter partes review. In either case, you can learn whether the patent has been invalidated in some way, or whether the claims have been modified, or in fact, maybe the patent has been affirmed, and in that case, the value of the patent would actually be quite a bit more. Tip number 5 is to check to see whether the patent that you're interested in buying has ever been pledged as collateral for a loan. Now, this is very common with businesses. Often when they take out a bank loan, they'll pledge their patent portfolio as collateral. You just want to make sure that the patent that you're buying isn't already pledged to some bank or to some third party. And you can do this by performing a UCC search, a Uniform Commercial Code search, with the Secretary of State in whatever state the company does business. And you should also check with the Secretary of State in the state of incorporation for the company. Tip number 6 is to download the file wrapper, the prosecution history of the patent from the U.S. Patent Office. And from the file wrapper history, it's possible to check the back and forth between the inventor and the patent office as the patent was being examined and prior to the issuance of the patent. Check for derogatory statements that the examiner made regarding the patent, and admissions perhaps that were made by the inventor. Any limitations that the inventor may have surrendered as part of the discussion or part of the examination process. You just want to make sure that there's nothing negative in the file wrapper that may devalue the patent in some way, or at least lead you to further investigation of the history of the patent. Tip number 7 is that you want to check with the patent office to make sure that all of the maintenance fees on the patent have been paid. Following the issuance of a patent at 3.5 years, 7.5 years, and 11.5 years, maintenance fees must be paid to the patent office to maintain the patent. Failure to pay the maintenance fees on time will cause the patent to lapse, and a lapsed patent cannot be enforced. And if the failure to pay maintenance fees was intentional, then it's not possible to pay the maintenance fees late, and the patent will be considered to have expired. Now, it is possible to pay the maintenance fees late, but if you do pay the maintenance fees late and assert that the failure to pay the maintenance fees on time was unintentional, then anyone coming into the marketplace after the period of lapse and before the maintenance fees were timely paid will be permitted to continue using the patent or practicing the patent under the doctrine of the intervening rights. So the value of your patent that you're considering purchasing may actually be reduced by others who've come into the marketplace during this period of lapse. And one other thing that you'll want to check that's related to the lapse of the patent is whether the inventor for some reason has expressly abandoned the patent. That is, filing a document of express abandonment in the patent office, donating the patent to the public. Doesn't happen very often, but you want to make sure that that hasn't happened. Now, I have a bonus tip for you. This is tip number 8, and this is really a super pro tip because it's easy to forget about this and not think about this. But I think it's important to check each of the inventors on the patent that you're thinking about buying and just see if they've filed other patents that have been related to the patent that you're considering purchasing. Now, where this comes up is one of the inventors may have worked for a prior company or worked for a university and filed a patent on a similar invention or maybe even the same invention at a prior entity or company. Now, if a prior patent had been filed, that could render your patent invalid. So it's super easy to check each of the inventors and prior patents they'd filed. Be sure you do that before closing the purchase of your patent. Now, if you found this video useful, I have another video where I identify 21 signals that a patent is a pretty strong patent. You may want to take a look at that video before you close your patent deal. Okay, that's really all I have to say today about things you should look for when purchasing a patent. If you have some other ideas, put them in the comments section below. We'd love to read about them. Thank you so much for watching my video, for staying to the end, for liking and subscribing. I'll see you next time.